Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to twitch.tv/Ice Cream Plus. My name is Graham Day, and this man in the box is Baby.
For the first time this week.
Yeah, you know, fans thought you'd join us, eh?
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Anyway, welcome to twitch.tv/Ice Cream Plus. As mentioned, I'm Graham Day, and this is Bibby. We are part of Team Ice Cream. And in true ice creamy fashion, this is the scoop. And the reason I was chuckling then is because I have Cakey B in the chat saying sir, which stands for fuck's sake, obviously. No, these cunts again. Oh no. How you doing, Cakey? You good? So yes, this is the scoop, your daily dose of news from the games industry and beyond. We give you our thoughts and impressions on the biggest, the best, and the breaking news stories, and we want your thoughts and impressions on our thoughts and impressions. That's the back and forth that we have on this show, and you can share them if you are live in the chat right now. I said 2 p.m. It's 20 past 2 now. It's 20 past 2. You know, COVID life. You've got to kind of roll with the punches. So 20 past 2, we go live around 2 o'clock at the moment each and every single weekday. We usually go live at 10 a.m, but we've pushed it back to the afternoon because of everything's happening in the world right now. So if you are live, feel free to get involved in the chat because we turn this into a video that goes onto YouTube. So we have an on-demand podcast video that you can digest whenever you want on YouTube. That goes live about an hour after we go off air. And then a little bit later on in the day, we turn it into 4 different audio podcasts on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, and Google Play. So if you want to get us in your goals, right in your eyeballs, or you just want to chill out with some of the coolest people in the world. That's an ice cream pun, that, by the way. That's an ice cream. Cool. Yeah, you got. Never mind. Anyway, yeah, feel free to do that. Like I say, it's important. The people that watch on demand or listen on demand, they get the benefits of being on demand, but they don't get to get involved in the chat. So if you are in the chat, feel free to get involved, and that's exactly what E.C. O'Neill has done. Oh my days! The legends on my screen. My friend, it is you that is the legend. Let me just kill WhatsApp and things so I don't get any more ding-dings in my ear.
Good afternoon, mate.
Interestingly, KKB says, I near bad. Well, my accent was. Working from home. But you now have a sub-badge, and you didn't have a sub-badge on the previous message. Have you subbed? Because if you have, it hasn't
come through my activity feed either.
Yeah, that's kind of weird, but yes, indeed. Where is the sub notification? It's literally for sir. Yeah, I have no idea where it is. It's not in my mini feed. It's not in. Let me check the
it's
app.
Not my activity feed in the creator dashboard either.
Oh, yeah, that's what I was just checking. Twitch has done you over there. Yeah, that's what I was just...
It has.
Have a word, Twitch.
I mean, at this point in time, I'm going to repeat something to you, Graham, that you repeated to me on Friday when I wasn't getting notifications. Are you not the streamer? Like, you need to sort this shit out, mate.
No, the thing is, though, you were getting the notifications. Your audio was fucked. So, yeah, you need to sort your stuff out. That's 2 streams in a row where you've had poor audience engagement. So sort your stuff out, mate. Sort your stuff out.
Has Bibi got snacks? Yes, I have Jaffa cakes. Gotta love a good old Jaffa cake.
Tell you what, we can. I'll resub Beans as resub. Hey, there we go.
Nice jump.
Just need some graffiti over the top of it. Say cake instead.
Yeah. No, so yeah. Do you know what? I'll even give you a verbal sub alert. Hi, my name is Keiki. Baby smells.
It shouldn't be that. It should be the Stay Frosty emote.
Yeah. Well, this is what happens when I leave you to tinker with emotes and stuff. It didn't happen. That's what I was saying the other day when I said the Stay Frosty didn't work for me. I got that when I subbed on yours.
But the thing is, I could hear that.
Yeah, and like I said in the chat, I heard Stay Frosty somewhere else, but it didn't happen when I subbed. When I subbed, it
That's
went,
weird as fuck, that.
And then there was a Stay Frosty, yeah, somewhere, but that was when you started playing with the things afterwards. So yeah, it's
shit knows.
It's bizarre. Anyway.
Jaffers are done.
See, I have snacks, but I have a mixture of, in true cakey fashion, although they're not really cakes technically. I have the remnants of a custard tart, an egg custard, which I'm eating through, and then this is the one, homemade cornflake clusters, which is Cadbury's chocolate, Kellogg's cornflakes, and some raisins thrown in for that sexiness. So
oh yeah, big fan of that.
So yeah, I love Cadbury's clusters, but I don't know if they stopped selling them or they just stopped selling them near me. You can't buy bags of Cadbury's clusters anymore. So yeah, basically, I'm going to eat through those and turn into the big fat mama jamma that I want to fully embrace in myself. So yeah.
Do you've got a Tesco near you, don't you?
Yes.
Do you like Jaffa cakes?
Mm-hmm.
Have you tried the giant Jaffa cake dessert?
No.
Oh my god, it is legendary. Like my nan bought it last time I went round to my nan's, which feels like about 2 years ago now. When I go around during the week to go and watch City with my granddad, she'll come out with whatever tea it is, and then she'll come out with a pudding, and it looks like a giant cheesecake, but it tastes like Jaffa cake. It's like one big giant Jaffa, and it is amazing. It's really, really good.
I might have to give that a try in 6 to 7 months when we can finally go out and engage with society.
Yeah.
Speaking of engaging with society, so what have you been doing all week, babe? I mean, me and Asim were having a good chat, and me and Luke have been having a good chat, but we don't know what you've been up with. Them. Have you been out seeing the sights? Have you been travelling to new parts of the? Oh, wait, no.
All of the above. All of the above. Well, I can't necessarily tell you what I've been doing because it's been genuine work. However, I have still been playing games in the evening, though.
What have you been playing?
The golf club, played a couple of rounds on that. Really, really enjoying that. Like, if you do like golf games, then that definitely is the game for you because it is a proper golf sim. So you had like the Tiger Woods games that pretty much everybody in the world played at some point, which was it was simish, but it had all the arcadey elements of it as well. Being able to like keep on pressing L1 when you're pulling back on your club to put extra power on, and then the turbo spin when it hit the green and it just spin back about 50 foot. It doesn't have any of that stuff. It's literally like you have to take into account the wind and what club you use in the terrain. So if you like golf games, that definitely is one. I mean, the second one is £2.50 at the moment. I think that was out 2 years ago, and I've been playing 2019. But I've also played a lot of pro clubs over the last couple of I'll say weeks now. Most of my mates that I grew up with are all in furlough or have been for the last 2 weeks. So they've been staying up till God knows what time, getting pissed every night playing pro clubs. So yeah, I've been pretty much joining them in that Germany.
In that Germany?
In that Germany, yeah. I'm still trying to pick out the Jaffa cake that's stuck in between the teeth.
Anyway, whilst you were saying that, I was jumping into Streamlabs, and Streamlabs is shitting itself because I can look at this and I can see the Stay Frosty sound effect, which if I press play, is that going to play?
Stay frosty, yeah?
Yeah, that will have played through the stream. So now, okay, I'm gonna test that subscription on Streamlabs website now. So let's go.
Stay frosty, yeah?
Okay, that worked.
This is a test.
Yes, this is a test. Okay, now let's resub Beans. What? But Beans just came through with the full.
Nice jump.
That's what I mean. So it's in there. It's in there correctly, innit? It's in the right place, and the sound effects there. So genuinely, no idea.
I wonder if that is like a timestamp. It can't be a timestamp thing. I was gonna say. I wonder if it's a Streamlabs OBS has Beans' TV, Beans TV subscription. Oh no, because Beans subbed yesterday, which was after you changed the sound effect. So what the fuck?
You know what I might do? I might change it from an MP3 file to like a wave or something else, and just play around with it until it. Yeah, I don't know. I genuinely don't know. It's in the right place and the right sound effects there. I don't know why it's doing it. It's like it's cached somewhere, and I don't know where it is.
Yeah. Okay. General signs, moderate and source. Done. Okay. Let's. I'm gonna test another sub again.
Stay frosty, yeah?
So the test works fine.
This is a test.
But now, repeat Beans' alert. Or not. It just won't repeat. Oh, I bet it comes through with 16 at once now. Okay, Beans is now not testing. I don't know what's happening with it. Screw you, Streamlabs. Anyway, we'll leave it there. We'll fix it off stream. But we are.
Do you know what I think you should do?
What?
I think we should do the intro again now, so I can clip it from here. So the people who are listening to this on audio stuff don't listen to us for like 10 minutes waffling on about notifications.
No, that's fine.
How does that sound?
They want the chat. They're going to miss out on the biscuit story. It's fine. You guys want to listen to this shit. I know. Yeah, no, that would be fun. We'll be fine. People want to tune in for the Jaffa Cake cheesecake stories. This is what people tune in for. And one other thing they may tune in for is the news. So let's jump straight into our first news story of the day. And this, as has been brought up by Keiki in the chat, then it says, "Are you discussing the PS5 controller images released?" Well, it's funny you say that, because the first news story of the day is, there we go, on screen. There we go. Sony unveils PS5 wireless controller. Oh my god, I'll start again. Sony unveils PlayStation 5's wireless DualSense game controller. There we go. Haptic feedback, adaptive triggers, built-in mic array. This is written by Matt Wales for Eurogamer. The article says, "Sure, getting the rundown of all those teraflops and mega boops crammed majestically into the powerful heft of your preferred next-gen console is exciting in an abstract kind of way, but the real show doesn't start, I'd say, until we've seen the controller. That hunk of hopefully ergonomic plastic set to be clenched betwixt your digits for the next half-decade." And here we are with a first look at DualSense, PlayStation 5's new wireless game controller. And for those that haven't seen it, boop, there you go, it's on screen. According to Sony's blog post reveal, the DualSense design has now been finalised and is currently winging its way to developers, meaning it's ready for the first public showing. The goal this time around, says Sony, was to retain much of what gamers love about the DualShock 4, while also adding new functionality and refining the design. To that end, the PS5 controller features haptic feedback to heighten that feeling of immersion, alongside adaptive triggers in the L2 and R2 buttons, so you can truly feel the tension of your actions. Ooh. The former suggests Sony could be used to conjure the sensation of driving through mud, while the latter might be used to enhance that feeling of drawing on a bow to fire an arrow. Elsewhere on the DualSense, there is a new built-in microphone array for easier communication with friends, although you can still use a headset if preferred, and DualShock 4's share button has now made way for a new create button. Sony is remaining tight-lipped about its exact function, but it teases that it'll offer pioneering new ways for players to create epic gameplay content to share with the world, or just to enjoy for themselves. All this is in addition to familiar carryovers such as a rechargeable battery and central touchpad, all squeezed into a striking two-tone design with repositioned light bar illumination that sorts of makes. Okay, I'm going to do that again. All of this is squeezed into a striking two-tone design with repositioned light bar illumination that sort of makes the DualSense look like it fell off a conveyor belt at Aperture Science. It does look like an Aperture Science product, to be fair. In all, we went through several concepts and hundreds of mock-ups over the last few years before we settled on this final design, says Sony. DualSense has been tested by a wide range of gamers with a variety of hand sizes in order for us to achieve the comfort level we wanted with great ergonomics. Our goal with DualSense is to give gamers the feeling of being transported into the game world as soon as they open the box, and to feel like the controller is an extension of themselves when they're playing. So much so that they forget that it's even in their hands. To conclude its reveal, Sony reiterated that the PlayStation 5 is still anticipated to launch in holiday 2020, with more information, including the console's final design, due in the coming months. Ooh. Thoughts, babe?
First of all, it looks, I said to you before we even went live, it looks like when you used to get the consoles that were, like you could get the Halo console or the Star Wars console or something like that. It looks like the R2-D2 controller. It's just the whole color scheme and the glowing blue lights. I mean, at first glance, I thought it looked horrendous. I didn't think it looked great at all. However, I have seen about 15, maybe 20 different mock-ups with different people's versions of it. And as a controller, visually, it doesn't look great, but the ones that people have been making do look great. I really enjoyed using the DualShock 4 controller, for instance. I thought for my hands, the way that it just felt good. It felt like a proper controller. I still don't like the Xbox One controller. I'm waiting for someone to come in here in a second and scream that I'm a Sony fanboy. But
you're a Sony fanboy.
yeah, I'm not too keen on how it looks, regardless of the paint that's on it. It looks like it probably won't be that comfortable, but I like how big the R1 and L1 is now compared to the old DualShock 4 controller. It looks more like a Pro controller for the Nintendo Switch in that sense.
Well, I hadn't seen this at all before we came on air. I did have a message from Fatman Dave 8472, if he's in the chat. Good afternoon. Saying, I assume you'll be talking about this on the show today. So I was like, oh, there's a new controller. I didn't rush out my way to get to it though because things to do. But when I first looked at it, my first look was when I jumped in the Discord chat with Bid before we came on air, and I was like, I'm not a fan of that. However, the more I look at it, that sort of, I don't know if I'm hoping you can see my magnifying glass cursor on screen. So this sort of that blue halo there from the light bar, the way that kind of sits in between those segments of the controller there, that kind of reminds me of a BMW i8. And that's exactly the same sort of colour scheme, white, blues, and blacks and greys kind of all mixed together. I hated the i8 when it first came out, and now I think it's one of the sexiest cars. So anyway, I looked at this a little while ago, and I was like, do you know what, it's not for me. Now I've looked at it again, I'm thinking, do you know what, actually, it's not that bad. So I can see this growing on me quite quickly. Maybe, we'll see. I mean, it could be one of those things that I like it. I'm starting to like it because it's different, but yeah, I think I'm still to be convinced, but if you'd have asked me without me looking at it again, I'd have just been like, I don't like it. Now I'm looking at it a little bit more. Yeah, okay, maybe I do. Maybe I will. I will.
I just want to see the size of it. Like, I want to see a 30-year-old bloke and then a 30-year-old woman and like a child all holding it to see how big it actually is, because the controllers in my hands are massive. Like, you'd think that the Xbox controller would suit my hands better. I mean, the Xbox Duke controller, for instance, is the perfect size for my hands. But yeah, the PlayStation 4 controller still feels all right. I just want to see how big. They said that they've based it on various hand sizes from various types of people. So yeah, I want to see how it feels in my hands.
I'm trying
Weird fetish, baby. I agree.
Trying to find an image of a BMW i8. Okay, well, I've gone like spiraling down some sort of alleyway to find some sort of weird website. So let me just open this up. So this is a BMW i8. That blue sort of line there, and this bit here is a gap there. So this bit is what the controller reminds me of. That bit there.
You know what? Someone's actually put a few BMW pictures alongside it on Twitter. Let me see if I can find it. I did see a few of them last night. PS5 controller, BMW.
Well, speaking of pictures on Twitter, I also missed this, but thanks to people being on the ball, he's shared with the knowledge that one of the ice cream team, aka Mr. Craig Pitt, aka the Gatekeeper TV, has posted an image of a retro OG PS5 controller, a DualSense controller mock-up, and that's what this looks like. So a lot of people on the fence with the design of the new PS5 DualSense controller, but I really like it, especially this mock-up OG version. Now that I definitely like. I do definitely like.
Do you want this link via Discord? Will that work?
Yes. Do it.
To be fair, it looks the color scheme's bank on, really.
Okay, so this is the tweet that Bib just sent. Anyone who doesn't like the two-tone black and white PS5 controllers are bad and should feel bad. Also, it's a BMW i8. See, there we go. This is my hot take that I didn't even know someone else had hot taken. So there we go. That's exactly the kind of image that I was looking for. That is what it is. It's a BMW i8.
Looks badass.
It does look good. It does look good. I'm happy enough with that. I'm happy enough with that. At first, no, not at all. But the more I look at it, the happier I am. One thing. Oh, let me just full screen Bib so he's not like squashed off to the side. But yes, one thing that it does kind of look a little bit more like, which is probably a good thing for me, is so I have a little bit of a controller comparison going on here. Let me make. I'll put me to the bigger screen. I'll stick Bib back in the box. So we've had the controller on screen, so I'll bring that up. So that's what the controller looks like, and then Let's do like some sort of form comparisons. I'm not sure how well this will sit in frame, but that is the PS5 DualSense. Oh no, we'll have to get rid of it. I'll move it there. That's fine. That is a DS4. So PS5 DualSense, PS4, DS4. That's the form factor. Compare that to an Xbox controller. You can definitely see we are getting a little bit more towards the Xbox controller. So
It's a lot rounder, isn't it?
So there's an Xbox controller. It has the longer limbs of a PS5 controller, but it's definitely a little bit more in the realms, not the realms, the realms of the Xbox controller. But then this is where we're probably starting to see Sony looking at people who are trying to make controllers their craft. And when I say trying to make, obviously we have the first-party controllers. Most people would use first-party controllers, but there are third-party options like this one. So I'll bring this DS4 back on screen. So that's the DualSense 5, and this is a SCUF controller. You can see it kind of sits between the two, and that is kind of, I'd say that's more like it than the others. Yes, it's bright red, but other than that, I wonder then, with that in mind, if PlayStation have been looking at SCUF, have been looking at Nacon, have been looking at the Razer Raiju and things like that, and seeing how
the Astro.
Well, yeah, exactly, the Astro C40 controller. So I wonder if Sony have been looking at these people out there that are taking controllers and adding different elements, be that esports controlling. Through the use of paddles and stuff on the back, so that you can keep doing the functions on the touchpad without having to take your finger off to do anything else. So yeah, whether it's taking those functions away, obviously PlayStation have clearly been listening to that, as have Microsoft, because the Microsoft have the are they called the Elite controllers?
Yeah. Is it customizable D-pad and stuff like that?
Yeah, and does it have thumbsticks on the back as well? And then elsewhere, you've got PlayStation have just had released that like 25-35 quid attachment to the bottom of your controllers to give you the flappy paddles on the back as well. So they've clearly been paying attention already, but it looks like maybe PlayStation have been looking at that and incorporate some of that smarts into their own design, which I would say is a smart thing to do. But thank you very much for the host set. Very much appreciate it, dude. Hope you're having a very lovely day. I don't know what it's like in Glasgow at the moment, but outside in Manchester it's actually ridiculously nice, which feels weird to say. We only are allowed like 2 to 3 nice days a year, and I'm sure we've had 4 already. What the hell?
I genuinely sat in the back garden eating my granola and yogurt this morning. There was no wind. It was just really nice, like 10:30 this morning. That never happens.
I was actually still in bed at 10:30 this morning.
Was it a late one last night?
It wasn't really, to be fair. I mean, I got off stream, so I streamed some co-op pairs with Show on his drop-in session stream last night. Got off, watched an episode of Altered Carbon, and then a couple of episodes of The Good Place. So it wasn't too late. It was probably before 1-ish. So not too bad. Usually that's kind of a normal time for me, but been feeling a little under the weather anyway. He's got the Rona. But yeah, it could be a case of it's just kind of like all the late nights, early mornings. All what are you chuckling at?
Can you hear the air dryer that's going past my house?
No.
Could you not hear it? Jesus Christ, that was the loudest scooter I've ever heard in my life.
An angry wasp outside Bibby's window. So yeah, no, yeah, I don't know. It's probably just a culmination of things, but yeah, I stayed in bed till 10:30. I felt like
Jesus Christ.
I know,
Dreams.
I know. It's amazing. It's amazing. David says, I wonder if the colour scheme is for the Japanese market because they tend to use white over there as the main colour because it sells better and black sells better in the rest of the world. See, I'm all in favour of white tech. I mean, I am currently different at the moment. I don't actually know where my mobile phone is, but my mobile phone at the moment is black because usually you have to buy a case for it. You can't always get a white case, and I don't want a white phone in a black case. Kind of defeats the point. And not only that, when you get a white case, quite often your white case can get scuffed and dirty as hell. But I'd buy a white PlayStation. I have a white PS4 Pro. I'd buy a white Xbox. I have a white Xbox One S. I have a white Xbox controller there. So yeah, I'm all in favour of white tech. So yeah, send me the Japanese versions. Yes, please. I'll take that. So that then opens up the question of white, black, little bit of blue halo. We know blue is the PlayStation brand colour. Is this the colour scheme that we should be expecting for the PS5 then? So you.
Yeah, have you just got like 14 dogs in your house or something?
That's kids outside.
It's like someone just locked a dog outside and it's howling to get back in.
There's no way I'm opening the window though, closing the window, because I did that yesterday and this place just turned into an absolute sauna.
Yeah.
So apologies, the screaming kids are on our end and the angry wasps are also on our end. That's it. Tune into Ice Cream Uploads every day for the scoop. And if you get your headphones on, it'd be like a weird sort of 3D virtual audio experience. Screaming kids
It's like
and
a zoo.
zoos
Weird
with
sound
scooters.
to it.
Yeah. Baboons screaming around on little wasps. But yes, anyway, the question was, do we think this is what the PS5 is going to look like? Is the PS5 going to be white?
It has to be, really, doesn't it? I reckon they're going to bring out... I mean, in fact, they may even bring out 2 SKUs. If the controller's white, then the unit's going to be white. If the controller's black, they're going to bring out a black unit. I don't think there's been many instances, unless it's a limited edition console, where the controller's been completely different colour than the actual unit.
I'm intrigued about the buttons, because, like, as far as I can remember, PlayStation controller buttons have always been quite solid with the triangle, circle, X, square on them. Whereas those on the designs look to be more see-through, more kind of like the Xbox controller style. Not that that's a major thing by any stretch of the imagination. It's just the material that they've used to make the buttons. But
What it's made out of there?
on,
The look, and the bottom picture. Is it the bottom picture that I'm looking at? Yeah, the bottom picture. It doesn't look like the buttons are very raised. Is that just me? The actual, like, the square, X, triangle, and circle. It doesn't look very raised, especially on the square. Might just be perspective, though.
I think looking at that controller versus one in my hand, I think they probably are raised the same amount as the DS4 in my hand, but the controller itself seems to bend. Whereas if you look at the PlayStation 4, so I'll show the PS4 controller, it has a very distinct round ridge going around there, so that the buttons, the touchpad, is essentially on a flat plate on top of the controller. Whereas if you look at the DualSense 5 controller, it seems to be built into the form of the actual controller itself. So rather than having a flat plate, the buttons essentially leak around the edge of the pad. Kind of, once again, kind of more like the Xbox controller. So looking at the way those buttons, I don't know if you can see that. I'll go bigger screen again just to hopefully give you a little bit more of it. So let's compare those buttons there. Those aren't sat on a flat plate. They aren't sat on a flat plate. They essentially, if you can see it from that angle, lean so that you see the red button. Is that the B? The B is lower than the X because it wraps around the edge of the controller. Comparing that to the DS5, there is a flat plate there, so that all the buttons are on the same
square.
So that the square and the circle, despite being on opposite sides, are completely horizontal, whereas that has more curvature for the buttons to slope off to the side, and that seems to be the form factor that chosen for the DS5 there as well.
Do you know what? I'll give credit to I know I say you don't like the Xbox controller, but I will give credit to the triggers on there and the analog sticks. The analog sticks on the DS4, they're not indented enough for me, so I end up going through the grips a lot quicker than I would do on an Xbox One, because it's just not as raised. So you basically just your thumb is hitting the edges constantly, rather than it being indented into the analog stick like they are in the Xbox. And the triggers on the Xbox are so much better than the L2 and the R2 the ones on the Xbox are so much better than the L2 and R2 on the DS4.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with those. The thumbsticks in particular, that was my main source of concern outside of the general form factor of everything, from what I know already. So there we go. Oh, you can't see my oh, you can again on screen. There you go. So that sort of like ribbed edge that kind of pops up on the edge of the sticks there. That's pretty much identical to what exists currently on PS5, PS4. Yeah, PS4. So many controllers in my mind now. That's pretty much a rinse and repeat of the thing that exists already. Whereas you compare that once again to an Xbox controller, there's a very clear center point in the middle where the whole thing domes down to. The PlayStation, it's almost convex with a rib around the edge, whereas the Xbox ones has that rib around the edge, but then it goes concave into the middle as a ball, and I think that does sit better for the thumb. I mean, once again, looking elsewhere for a little bit of inspiration, the Scuf controller clearly knows that having a concave ball shape, their controllers do exactly that as well. They have the ball that goes in it, so that is one thing that I would have liked to have seen being incorporated into the DS5. But
do you reckon that these iPads? Sorry, I've just seen Game Chill Zone as well. Good afternoon. Sorry, I did it first. Good afternoon. We're doing all right. The shit. But, oh, sorry. I wonder if the Scuf controller that you got there are going to be backwards compatible. Because it's a lot of money to potentially shell out for a controller that may be useless in 6 months' time.
I hope that is the case. I was just trying to look there because I've just seen Cake is saying easy to add caps to the thumbstick store. I do have some thumb stick, whatever you call them, that go over the top, the caps basically. I do have some of those, but I can't find them, so I was going to show that off. But yeah, I hope they are, and this is where we were talking about how Microsoft have been very, very good at being pro-consumer. A lot of their stuff that they've done has been about backwards compatibility and forwards compatibility, and the lack of need to buy the same game on multiple titles, and the fact that the current Microsoft Elite controllers can be used on the Series X. They've already confirmed that, which makes me hope that Sony have gone, actually, yeah, that's fine. You can use your DS4 on a PS5. However, you won't get the benefits, the extra functions of having the haptic triggers and the haptics so on. If you can just turn off haptics and use your controllers, which, let's face it, that looks almost identical to that. Yes, there will be different functions, but you should be able to use that in place of that.
It's like using the third-party ones on the Switch. I've got one of them DPD or PDP or whatever the fuck they're called, and third-party, like I've got a Zelda one for my Switch. I can't use it. Hasn't got gyro controls, and I can't like tag an amiibo on it, but it works for everything else. I can play every single game exactly the same, just without like playing Breath of the Wild. I haven't got the gyro control, so I can't move the controller to shoot my bow and arrow, but I can just move the right analog stick to change the direction in which I'm firing. It makes no difference whatsoever. It's just it's just a £40 cheaper than a Pro controller, because it only cost me like 20 quid or whatever it was, but it does the job. If I can take my PS4 controller, which I've got 3 or 4 of them now, and I still have my friends come over without having to bring their controllers over to be able to play a game of Pro Evo or PES or whatever it is that we're going to be playing. Pro Evo or FIFA or whatever, so I just think the same game twice.
Let's play PES or some Pro Evo. Winning 11.
ISS. But yeah, if they come over, they have to bring their own pads. It's just annoying, isn't it? But yeah, if it's backward compatible, fair enough. It might not have the microphone inside there. Or it might not have the haptic controls or gyro controls or whatever it could be that they're not going to be able to limit into the games. But yeah, if you could just make it backwards compatible, that'd be great.
Yeah, I agree, and I think it kind of more than ever needs to be the case, because the jump to the PS3 from the PS3 to the PS4, the PS3 and the PS2 controllers were almost identical, and you jump to the PS4. Fair enough. When you jump to the PS4, you get the touchpad and you get the light bar and things like that. I mean, we don't really use them, let's be honest, but those weren't in that, and you can argue, it'd be a weak argument, but you could argue that you need those things to utilize a PS4. So fair enough, we get that, but there isn't so much different that if they say, oh no, you can't use a PS4 controller on a PS5, then I do feel that is a little bit it's the word that I said I didn't like when Xbox spoke about their hard drives. They use a proprietary hard drive, a proprietary SSD, so that you can buy an expansion or a bigger one, but it has to be the Xbox branded one, made by Seagate, I think it was. But proprietary means expensive. So if if they say, okay, I mean, yes, I know it's still proprietary because it is that is a PS4 controller. Yes, it is proprietary because that is still a PlayStation controller, but the fact that you have to then buy new ones for the next generation, if that's the avenue that they take, then I do feel that is a bit shit because it doesn't need that sort of stuff. I don't feel they need it. I feel just buying a new PlayStation, ideally you will play with your DS5, your DualSense 5 to get use of everything. But if I only buy like the version of the bundle that comes with one controller and a one-player game, but then Bibi rocks up with either PES or Pro Evo or ISS or other games that are the same game, then yeah, if he brings it, if he just goes, oh fuck, I didn't bring my controller, but that's all right. You could just whip out the Scuff or the DS4 or whatever and jump in. That's the ideal. That's where it should be. Good afternoon to Enix. He's in the chat. Oh, we're talking about PlayStation stuff. Well,
I knew he'd show up at some point. As soon as you mention PlayStation, it's like saying Candyman 3 times.
Game Chill Zone says it's much like the Xbox controller. This will add confusion to a gamer. Mistake it for Xbox upon release. I hope not. Or do you know what? That's a good shout. To be fair, trying to remember who it was. I think it was one of the Kind of Funny guys. It might not have been, but someone was saying that the Xbox Arcade and the Xbox Core or whatever it used to be on the Xbox 360 generation, they paid for the version that came with the hard drive and everything else, but because it was so confusing, they ended up being given the lower spec, even though they paid for the higher spec.
Asim, I think it was.
Oh, was it Asim?
I think it was Asim in the chat, yeah.
Ah, maybe it was. Okay. Well, someone, if it is Asim, then someone left without getting what they want, and that's on the same brand. So someone paid for an Xbox and they got a lesser Xbox. So that's on the same brand. That's confusion, but that does. I'm saying that because I've got it on my screen. That does look pretty close to that. If you're a parent that doesn't know much about games, you could quite easily be leaving the store with, "I've got you a new PlayStation controller, yay!" Opens it up and it's like, no. I think it will be a lot more comfortable, but there is a ton of gimmick in it which won't be used after a few years. How do you know? I remember when Ape Escape came out on, was it the PS2? And people were kind of ripping into it, saying you have to have analog sticks to play Ape Escape. What's wrong with my up, down, and left, right buttons? This is just a gimmick. And yes, there has been a bunch of gimmicks in the fact that the touchpad doesn't really get used. The light bar, okay, if you've got the VR stuff or whatever, I don't know what. I mean, I don't use it.
Well, it's essential for the VR stuff.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't think you can call any of it gimmick stuff until hindsight. You can assume, and you can probably logically assume, and the chance that you will be right. But a lot of it, all it takes is a pop in an area. All it takes is VR to become, suddenly someone's realised, oh, we can do VR for really cheap, and VR takes off, and then the light bars and stuff like that. So yeah, I think, yeah. Are flappy paddles gimmicks? Maybe they are. Maybe they aren't. If a lot of people would never want to invest in a Scuff controller because they don't want the paddles, and a lot of people don't understand the logic behind paddles. It was only when it was me, Bib, and Jake from Scuff sat down, and he was giving me the logic of how to use a controller, because I'm a person that plays, yes, but I'm not an esports guy. To the level of, I will compete at the best of my abilities, but I'm not going to start changing the way that I compete so that I can compete even better and even better. And the logic of that is, like, say if I'm playing a game and I want to turn around and then jump, I have to turn and jump with the same button, the same thumb, should I say. So that's where you see people start to play the claw method. So they turn and then they push these buttons so they can turn and jump at the same time without having to take a finger off, which is what these are used for. You could turn and jump without taking your thumb off of directions, which means you're always in control of the game. And I was like, oh, well, it makes sense. But that's a gimmick if you don't use it, and a lot of people do see things like that as gimmicks. So yeah, it could be gimmicks, and a lot of it probably is gimmicks. But it's not very easy to say that, especially as you've never even touched it. So don't lie. That controller is so sexy, nearly as sexy as Bibby. God damn.
I tell you what, if my ego wasn't that big, which it is. You know, I'm
let's
feeling damn good about myself right now.
Just going to grab the ego pump and just add to it with Age of Superheroes' next comment, which says, "It'll never be that sexy." Oh, goddamn.
I mean, if you go back up, if you go back up a little bit, it's cake is that Bibby's beard is on a game is fuck me.
Bibby's beard game on point.
Yeah, there we go. Well done.
Bibby's game.
But yeah, I agree.
Game. Bibby's on the game.
I'll show you something. One sec.
Bow, bow, bow. I've been really
So,
trying.
Mrs. Bibby did my hair last night. Done a hell of a lot better than I thought it was going. That was gonna. I thought I was gonna be bald. I thought I was gonna look like Homer Simpson with just like 3 hairs on top of my head.
Still a good job.
But she's done a really good job.
Keep having this conversation with Danielle. We started having the conversation earlier in the week, saying if anyone's bought any clippers and they've got links to them, then feel free to share. I'm still haven't committed, but I'm at that point where I am. The size of my head are getting to the point of a cut, but yeah.
But yeah, she's even managed to blend it in. She was absolutely shitting herself. Like I've been telling her all week, it's going to happen. Like my hair needs cutting, you're going to have to do it. So I said, right, what I'll do is I'll do my fringe myself because I don't want you fucking that up because that's the main part of my hair. If you fuck that up, the whole thing might as well just go. So I did my own fringe, and then I said, right, one at the side, and round the backs, and then just put my hand, put my hair in between your fingers like that, and just clip, just chop all the way around about 15 times, and that's exactly what she does. But she got a bit more confidence. She's putting the 3 on the side, and she's giving it a bit of a blend going up.
That's when you start.
Yeah,
when you start to get the hairdresser. There was, I think it was like a Lee Evans comedy sketch where you'd get like a hairdresser to go like. I've got scissors in my hand, by the way. So you know, obviously, I was prepared for this segment. Now I have a stationary cut thing there. So you get the hairdresser goes cut like that, but then when they know what they're doing, you get a hairdresser that goes and then goes into the air with like 3 or 4 extra cuts.
Yeah. Well, yeah, she was starting to feel it a bit more then because I was going, you're actually doing really well. Like you don't need to shave the whole fucking thing off at this point. So she was just carrying on doing it, and then I was looking in the mirror. I was like, right, yeah, you need a bit more off the side there, blah blah blah. Got to the last point, I gelled my hair just to make sure that everything fit in the right place. I was like, you've missed a bit here, but after that, we're all good. So yeah, I'm good now for about another 2 or 3 weeks.
Oh well, I need to invest. Yeah,
Mine were just a pair of Babyliss ones.
Well, I have a beard trimmer, and Danielle was like, "Can you not just use that?" I was like,
No, the head isn't big enough. Unless you're shaving it all off, it ain't gonna work.
Yeah, it's not about that. It's not about that. Back to the comments then. The fact Microsoft only changed small changes on the control shows how well it's made and how comfortable it is, or it shows a lack of ingenuity.
Or they're catering for the people who are playing their consoles.
Yeah,
like I only recently got an Xbox, and that's because it's the one from the office. I would have only used an Xbox controller when I went into the office. Like I never would have used one otherwise. But I still think that the PlayStation one's better than that. So it's the catering to the market that they already have. They don't need to put gimmicks in there because they don't have gimmicky things. They don't have the use of virtual reality headsets or whatever it may be. They don't have Astrobot being able to jump up and down. They don't have the ability to flick pages in Uncharted if you pick up something or whatever. Microsoft don't have any of those games that are able to utilize it. They could have done if they wanted to go down that road, but they just want a controller, and there's absolutely no shame in that because they're catering for the market that they've already got, whereas PlayStation have at this moment in time the broadest market that there is available in video games or console games, shall we say. So there's a lot more ability to be able to make more VR games or have the use of using the touchpad to flick pages in a book or whatever. I imagine when the PS5 comes out, there will be over the first 2 years maybe a few gimmicky games where it does actually get used, and then it may not get used down the line for another 2 years until they bring out the PlayStation VR 2, where they may be able to include some more stuff that uses the capabilities of the controller. But it's smart moves by PlayStation originally to know that they was bringing out a virtual reality stuff 4 years down the line when the PlayStation 4 actually came out, because you're looking at the light bar, you're thinking, Jesus Christ, just dim that or get rid of it because it's draining the battery. But then the same person would have said that 4 years later when they got a headset on, thinking, oh shit, I actually need to use the VR bar on the front of the controller. It's just having a roadmap of stuff that they want to use going down the line. And if there's anything to go by, unless you need to buy another controller, VR will not be going to Microsoft on the Xbox at this case with the controller that they've already got.
Yeah, that's where they may at that point go, okay, we don't want to use a controller. We want to use separate peripherals, more like the what's the one that they recommend you use with Alex, the one that basically straps to your hands. What's that?
The Index.
Valve Index. That's it. So they may release the Xbox Index kind of thing. Obviously, there's already been stories about Microsoft working with, was it Valve? They were working with.
Yeah.
Regarding
How much is the Index, by the way, mate?
£1,000.
Yeah, there you go then. I'd much rather take a £40 DualShock controller that I could use with VR after the £300 unit rather than spending $1,000 on something.
I mean, neither one is right. The fact that Microsoft has only made small changes shows that they are happy with their controller. Their community are happy with their controller, and they are happy enough to progress with that. That makes absolutely sense. They're progressing with evolution, not reinvention. And arguably, PlayStation are also progressing with evolution rather than reinvention, but they are adding elements of reinvention because, I mean, neither is wrong. Do you want a better version of the controller that you're happy with and you used to? Yes. Do you want something that gives you even more functions? Well, yes. I mean, neither is wrong, neither is right, but they're slightly different angles. And I think that's the good thing, is variety is the spice of life. If you want haptic triggers that will give you things like, I mean, obviously, you need to put those into the hands of the developers and the people that will have creative ideas. Because all you keep coming back to is if you're pulling the trigger back and you get the haptic feedback, the more you pull it, the harder it gets. Like you're pulling on a boat. Yeah, that's really cool. But what else can I use it for? And it's only when you start to put that into the hands of the developers will we see the potential for that. So yes, at this point, they could be gimmicks. But in reality, they could be game changers for the way that things work. And it's only... It's the creativeness, it's the mind. We need people's mind to unlock the potential for those gimmicks, and that's it. It's literally the only thing that changes something from being a gimmick to a necessity is idea, and all you need is an idea that broaches that gap, and then that's it. So yeah,
who is the people that didn't make use of the features though? Because PlayStation, at risk of Enix shouting out that I am a fanboy of this, who is it that's in the wrong with these gimmicks? Is it PlayStation for creating the ability to say, here's everything that you need in a controller to be able to create ideas inside your games? Or is it the developers themselves saying, actually, we don't want to use any of that stuff that you got in the pad. We're just going to use the simple controls that you already get, the 6-axis. We're going to use the triggers and stuff like that. We don't want to use gyro controls. We don't want to use the touchpad. We don't want to use haptic feedback. We don't want to use any of the other stuff that you got in the control. We just want it for its basic stuff. So who is the innovator there? Is it the people developing for it, or is it the people who are creating the features in the controller for you to be used at will? Who's in the wrong there for not using that?
I'm not say so much of being in the wrong. It's that the difficulty lies on PlayStation at first in terms of you've got to think about what people want before they know that they want it. So okay, this doesn't exist, but we can create it. Are they going to use it, yes or no? And you have to kind of make that assumption of, yes, gyroscopic controls is something that people want. We've just come back off the back of a generation where people were loving life with the Nintendo Wii. So yeah, let's get gyroscopic controls. And maybe we can create a subsection of games where we can have that sort of Wii controlling stuff. And in reality, it wasn't needed. But PlayStation had to kind of go, okay, well, we can do something of that. And we can use the light bar for the VR and touchpads and stuff. Oh, you know what? iPads and things are all taking off. So maybe touch screen stuff is I don't know. I'm just thinking old man thoughts, but yeah, the hard part it probably kind of lies on PlayStation. If you're talking of a blame perspective, but not in a negative way, in terms of they have to think, okay, what will the future look like? What do we think people would want or could want? This gives them all of the abilities, and if they don't have it, then we'll just make sure it's not a necessity. And I think that's probably the best thing: is put the gyroscopic controls in, don't make it a necessity. Put the touchpad on, don't make it a necessity. Have the light bar in VR, don't make it a necessity. And that's the thing is, you'll see that it drops off. If people don't want it and there is no desire for it whatsoever, the people won't use it, and it won't be in the next iteration of the controllers. But if people do, then it'll get used. And I think that's, yeah, like I say, it's positives to both scenarios. On one hand, you get a controller that becomes quite heavy, that can become quite costly because the amount of technology that's in it that you're not going to be using. But on the other hand, you've got a controller that isn't going to evolve. So yeah.
But I mean, saying who's in the wrong was probably a wrong way of saying it. it doesn't only become a gimmick, uses it. If it became a game, if it was used in every single game, would it then be a gimmick? When's the cut off for it being a gimmick? Like the touchpad is a gimmick unless you use VR. Like it was used in the games within the first 2 years that the console came out, but then it didn't get used in any mainstream games to a degree that wasn't used for the map as a touch button down the line. Now, is classed as a gimmick then because there's only a very small player base that has access to use the full features of the controller. If there was to put all of this stuff in like haptic feedback and blah blah blah, and every game that came out used those things, would that then be considered to be a gimmick? I don't think it would, because it's not a gimmick anymore, is it? It's a function. It's a function to enable the game to move to the next level and incorporate all the facilities and features that the controller has.
It's like
It isn't a gimmick in that
a
case.
SNES that has like how many buttons on the face plus buttons on the shoulders of the pad. What a gimmick! And now you're looking there. Each controller has a minimum of 4 shoulder buttons. So
well, the PlayStation 1 didn't use the L2 and R2 for a long time. There was very few games. Like, for instance, one that pops out of my head straight away is Pro Evolution or ISS for the PlayStation 1. They didn't use L2 or R2. They just used L1 and R1 for sprint and change player. I think you probably could, if you dove into the actual manual, you could probably use L2 and then a combination of buttons to move, make strategic stuff, but there wasn't a fundamental of the game. Like, there wasn't. If you go into the button config, it wasn't there for you to be able to change anything on them. They just wasn't used like that. So it was only further on down the line where the games become more and more complex that they actually started to incorporate the buttons. So there will be development. I mean, using it, if your pad gets more features, then really it's up to the developers to try and incorporate them if they want to use them. It's at their discretion. But the term gimmick, it's a weird one to use, because unless people start using it, it then doesn't become a gimmick.
yeah, exactly. Everything is a gimmick. Having a phone that had no buttons is a gimmick, and now having a phone with a button on the front, that's a gimmick. It'll never take off. Well, excuse me, my Nokia 5110. I think you'll find it already did. Everything is a gimmick. It's about like you say, integration and acceptance. Acceptance is what changes something from being a gimmick to a feature. And yeah, yes, it does have a lot of. It has not a lot of. It has some additional gimmicks, but those gimmicks could be core features. And without PlayStation trying gimmicks, some will fail, some won't. Then we won't. No controllers would have analog sticks. No controllers would have the 4 buttons, or a share button, or whatever kind of things like that. So yeah.
Well, Xbox didn't even have a share button, did it?
Yeah, exactly. But the PlayStation didn't look more like an Xbox controller like it does now. So yeah,
Everything takes inspiration from everything else. Again, just going over old ground, there is parts of the Xbox controller that I wish the PlayStation would have had in the PlayStation 5 controller. Sorry, did I say that right? The Xbox controller has features that I wish the PlayStation 5 would have, like the indented analog sticks. I haven't used the triggers on this yet, but I hope that the triggers are somewhat close to what the Xbox One controller's like, because I really like the triggers in that. So we'll see. We only have a look at the controller now, and we've spent 50 minutes talking about what a controller looks like, which is a great talking point, because it's the first opportunity that we've had to look at something to do with the PlayStation 5. It's just gone April. I don't know why I'm looking at my watch. It's just gone April. We've got 6 months left until this console's originally meant to be coming out. So we've got a lot. PlayStation have got a lot to show off in the next 6 months, which is obviously why we're excited as we are now, because we've literally had 3 months of the Xbox just giving stuff out.
Well, let's have a look at, and I'll start off by showing you the horrendously grubby. Look at the state of that controller. You can tell this is filthy, because this controller was last used at a PES UK finals. A number of our, long story short, we are Ice Cream, and we are part of Jelly Media, and Jelly Media does esports events and so on in the games industry, and we did, I want to say the PES 2014 UK finals. It could have been 15, I think, was it? No, 15 was PS4. Yeah, so PES 2014 UK finals. Were played on PS3, and there is the DualShock 3 controller. Anyway, a bunch of the controllers that we got from Sony were dead, so we had to use our own actual controllers to make sure people had enough pads, which is why you can see my initials on the back of that to make sure I got my specific pad back. But now look at the state of it for being stored away for such a long period of time. Anyway, so we've gone from a DS4 to DS3 to a DS4, you can see obviously that's a little bit jagged, more knobbly bits on top. So we've got rid of that. The form factor has become smoother. There's still a few flat planes and so on, but arguably they are stepping more in line with what Microsoft have gone for their last generation of controllers to this DS5 now. So there you go. In short, get rid of some bumps, get rid of some knobbles, and for the PS6, just expect a round ball. That's it. Danielle says, wash your hand after touching that pad. Yeah, it's a bit gammy. It's been in a bag.
You burn your hand after touching that.
In a bag, in a drawer, since like PES 2014. So 6 years later. Anyway. Do you know what? I'm gonna jump back to the split screen and I'm gonna ask Bibi to say something while I put some hand sanitizer on after touching that. Go on, actually,
yes.
Run back through the chat, see what's happened, because we got.
All right, okay.
Jordan,
yeah, hopefully there's more chat about me. Asim says, thanks, I've got a boner. That was clearly me taking my hat off, obviously.
Me.
My hair has not... or you, yeah, or you. Mostly me. My hair has not been cut in just over 3 weeks. Pirate Man was a month until I had to get the chop. Like a really shit Morrissey. Enix says, yeah, but the DualSense has a ton of features. Oh, we've already read that. Pirate says there will be sightings of Bigfoot in London when this pandemic is open. I'm not going to go for the beans look during this time. Not even shaved either, so it looks a bit of madness. You know what? Right, there was a... If I was ever thought that I wanted to shave my hair off and see what it looks like, Beans and Wes are both shaving their hair off, put the fear in me to never do that. I don't want to know what's underneath this hair. I don't want to know the shape of my head, and them two put the fear in me, so never will I ever want to shave my hair off unless it's absolutely necessary.
Well, I absolutely would not do it ever. So yeah, stick that in your pipe and smoke it. Although to be fair, I used to have my head shaved all the time by my mum and dad, as we were talking about the other day. And I remember my dad saying, "What number do you want?" And I was like, "Okay, 2 or 3 or something." And he'd just do the full buzz cut head, so you just have like microphone hair, but at different lengths. It was just a perfect round like bowl. But asking him for like 3 or whatever, and him completely messing it up and doing it on like a full-on skin buzz. I just, nah, it's not for me. It's not for me. I just look like a right little, like Phil Mitchell, so it's not for me.
Well, one of the lads in the group chat last night was going, "Oh, I needed to. I'm going to get a buzz cut. Yeah, I get a 4 or a 5." So we just fucking burst out laughing. It's like, how can you get a buzz cut with a 4 or 5? It's like, unless you're Lionel Richie, a 4 or 5 ain't going to do absolutely anything. So, in my great photoshopping ways, I don't know if you're going to be able to see this. Let me bring it up on my screen, see if I can see myself. Me and my great photoshopping ways decided to make this. Oh, God.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Enjoy. Anyway, jumping back through, hair at the top is long enough to reach my lips. That's also what she said. I brought 4 in and has written...
Pirate.
I brought 4 in and has written pirate on the back.
He was talking about the controllers.
I thought you were talking about the haircut, so I was like, what?
Yeah, just had a Nike tick and then pirate written above his head.
There we go. Yes, I remember now. I remember. Back in day. But anyway, enough of the DS5, the PS5 controller, or anything else. And Craig Pitts, do you know, actually, one thing we'll do, I will show that again, just in case anybody missed it earlier on, because we have a few more people in now. But yes, this is a mock-up that Craig Pitt, aka Gatekeeper TV, shared on social media yesterday. That one looks pretty nice. I would absolutely take that all day. Yes, please. Make it happen, Sony. Make it happen. But let's jump into our next news story. We've been on this one for a fair while now. And the next one... Actually, we won't go into a full story. This can be like a story 1.5. Because this relates to the PS5. And relates to Enix, who's just been talking about the controllers with us then in the chat as well. Yesterday, we had a news article that referenced a Crytek video game engineer. The Crytek video game engineer, as far as we reported yesterday, had experience of using the PS5 and the Xbox Series X. the gist of the article was it's much easier to code for the PS5, so therefore you will get better games much more easily. You don't have to code in the specific way, which is developers aren't going to create a code how you want it created. They're going to develop their code how they want it created. Your system should be able to play their game, essentially. That's super simplifying it, but that's the gist of it. Anyway, the Crytek engineer said, as a result of the difficulties of coding for the Xbox, the PS5 was the better console. That was the phrase of the article. We didn't have the contrasting comments that Enix said that apparently the Crytek engineer, and I do have a tweet, so Enix sent me a DM last night. So obviously, as this is DMs, and as we said with the articles yesterday, take it with a pinch of salt, as you would with everything. So this is the message from Enix saying the developer was a mobile developer working for Crytek who hadn't had access to the consoles. So this, according to an article which we can't find now, says, because it's been deleted by the way, says that the developer had never actually touched the PS5 or the Series X. He hadn't developed for them. And his comments were just what he has heard rather than what he's actually had hands-on with himself. However, as he's still a developer, an NDA was still in place and would have covered that, which is interesting because then Jordan linked me to this article from Crytek. They are hiring for a new mobile developer. What's the chances?
Oh, what a coinkydink.
So nothing on here says this is a result of that person, but let's just use our imaginations. You're a mobile developer for a company like Crytek, and you break an NDA that you would have been subject to, talking about two of the biggest technological releases over the next 10 years. It's fairly possible that you could be made redundant after that. So he says that, and the very next day they're recruiting for a new mobile engineer. So yeah.
Oh god, I imagine he would have been dragged in by his shirt into a meeting
And the rest
to sack him. Imagine that.
So yeah, the rest of the comments from Jordan says there was an EA dev on Reset Era. The post is deleted now. He tried to go back and get it, but he mentioned how some of the new NDAs have worked, which made him believe he wasn't breaking NDA, as the developer mentions from what I've heard, and also goes talking about the Xbox One and PS4 architecture. So we don't know if that is the case. Has he been sacked? Maybe, maybe not. That could, or one situation could let you lead you to believe that he has been sacked. One situation that he hadn't. Also, then there's the context of the developer may not have actually used the PS4, the PS5, or the Xbox Series X. Are his comments valid? Some would say, well, he hasn't, so they're not. Some would say, well, he's actually working with developers who he values their opinions of, and they're saying that. So yes, it's not directly from the horse's mouth, but the comments are still the same. So anyway, a bit of context for the situation. Maybe the PS5 is the better console, maybe it isn't. And do you know what? Even if it is or isn't from a developer standpoint, that doesn't really matter to you. But we will keep you up to date with the stories around that as things progress. But as it stands, we have a new controller, and that's the only thing we can take for certain. But anyway, jumping into our next bit of news. This one, sticking with Eurogamer, this time written by Emma Kent, is about Apex Legends, which was negatively impacted by solos, according to Respawn, the developer of the game. Wingmen required. That's the tagline, by the way. I don't just shout random things out like that. Well, I actually do, to be fair, so yeah, okay. So from almost the first day Apex Legends burst onto the Battle Royale scene, fans started calling for a solos option to be included alongside the standard squads of 3. Eventually, their prayers were answered in August last year with a limited time event, but it seems unlikely solos will return as a permanent option anytime soon, as Respawn says the mode was detrimental to the overall game. The reason for this, as explained in the latest patch notes, is that solos harmed game balance and made Apex Legends less appealing to new players. When we introduced solos as a limited time mode last year, we saw it actually negatively impacted the game, especially when it came to new player retention, the blog post explained. We've also purposely designed Legends and their abilities to complement team play and squad composition, but when played solo, some Legend abilities become useless. The conversation around solos resurfaced recently because Apex Legend added duos as a permanent mode, which makes sense as the mode means the game's outstanding cooperative features such as the ping system can still be used. It's not quite the end of the road for solos yet, however, as Respawn said, it's still exploring ways to allow a solo experience. Meanwhile, Alongside the new cosmetics and town takeover introduced by the Bloodhound event, the latest patch has brought some noteworthy game balance changes. Lifeline mains will be pleased to hear that the character is now even more of a loot goblin, with the addition of blue crates with compartments only she can access. Revenant's Death Totem Ultimate has similarly been given a buff, with players now respawning with 50 health instead of a measly 1 HP, to encourage players to use the new Evo shields. To encourage players to use the new Evo shields, the amount of damage required to evolve them has been slightly dropped. And finally, an exploit which allowed some players to use Wraith's port ability to survive the final rings has been patched. Portals will now disappear after 4 seconds if both ends are outside the circle, so players can no longer ricochet between the two to avoid taking damage. I guess that renders the tactic null and void, is the final comment. I guess it does too. Unfortunate name, that. Which name?
Oh,
Emma Kent. Yeah. that is true. That is true. Particularly if you come from certain areas with accents, then yeah. I'm gonna.
This news doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
It's a multiplayer. That this game was built for multiplayer. So whenever your characters have abilities, and they complement other players and their characters that they're using with their own abilities, then using those characters in a single player environment, it doesn't work. The reason why things like Warzone, PUBG, Fortnite all work well as 1v1 games is because the player base by default is exactly the same. You all jump in with one weapon, and then it's up to you to go and find your own things. There's no special abilities. There's no you can't. I can't remember what it's called, what the character's called. I haven't played that much of Apex, if I'm being honest, but Pathfinder, that was it. I think their ability was to be able to ding like a mile or so in front of them. A mile's obviously that's an exaggeration, but they're able to ding a certain distance in front of them to locate enemies. I think that's what it was anyway. So using that ability as a 1v1 would help, but if someone had healing abilities, then you're only going to be able to heal yourself, not your party, or whatever it may be. But the fact that they have abilities in the game will hinder the way that you play, because as a team, they work. As a single player, they obviously don't. It was built for for multiplayer only. So the fact that solos didn't work should be absolutely news to no one.
Yeah, it's like having Lifeline being able to heal yourself. It's just It's just like getting med packs or whatever, which exist in the game anyway, essentially. So it's that whole team mentality of one of you is the medic that heals everyone, one of you is the sort of like engineer class that fixes stuff or provides the ammo. Then I mean, obviously, let's merge engineer and assault into kind of one. So you've got the healer, the supplies, and then the attack sort of thing. The attack could then also be is that a sniper as well, or is the sniper the healer? But essentially those classes all sort of work together. If you have someone that works as a sniper and the sniper's skill is the long range spotting, so that you guys all go in and attack and I'll sit at the back and I'll tell you what's happening just in front of you. What's the point in that? I can tell you there's people just in front of you. Can you do anything about it? No, because I don't have long-range weaponry, just long-range viewfinding. Oh, great. Nice. So I know there was someone about 1,000,000 miles away. So, yeah, I agree. It makes complete sense that in that sort of sense, it's going to negatively impact it. Plus, when you play a game, even be it PUBG, be it Apex, be it Fortnite, whatever, the thing with Battle Royale in that sort of sense as well, they always are better when you play together. Playing solos in those sort of games, a game like Fortnite and PUBG has been created with the idea of playing solo and then being able to squad up. That is still, I'd still say it's still more fun to squad up than play solo, but playing a game that's been designed to play as squads and then dropping that down to solos, it's kind of a no-brainer in that sort of sense. It's obviously not going to work as well.
Well, it's been balanced to play as a one, and it's been balanced to play as a solo in those games. So it may not be the ultimate way to be able to play, because playing with your friends in instances like that where you both challenge yourself to a win, you've got more ability, you've got more chance of staying alive as a squad than you do with playing solos, or unless you play as us and some of us jump over builds and then fall to their deaths by missing trampolines or whatever.
So I've just got a scratch on my eye. I'm just trying to find it with my one middle finger. Just.
But those games have been balanced to play on your own, haven't they? Yeah. How much PUBG do you play? And this is the genuine question because I know how much you play, but to the listeners, how much PUBG do you play?
Not very much. I'm not a fan. I don't really enjoy the game. Yeah. This last week, very little. Generally,
Over the last 12 months?
generally, it's my number one game, PUBG.
Yeah. As a solo, or
ideally with others, but if there's no one on, then I will play it as solo. It definitely triggers you much easier as a solo because when I say triggers, it's because it's not perfect. You could have a bug in the game. And bug could be anything to do with lag. It could be desync. You're stood behind a corner, but on someone else's screen, you were still stood in the open, just waiting there, and then you get shot, and it's so there's those kind of things. And when you've played a looting simulator for 15 minutes, it's just about to get a taster, and you're in solos, and you just get insta killed. You've got no way of getting back into it, so it can absolutely be triggering in solos. And the same thing does happen with Fortnite. You could go somewhere to tick off one of your missions, and then you could just spend the rest of the game just chasing a circle, which keeps hard shifting away from you, and you finally get into the circle, and there's a guy just sat in a bush, just goes brrr, and it all rockets up your ass, and that's it, game over. So yeah, with that in mind, the fact that you have the respawn mechanics and so on, plus the camaraderie of teammates, and even if you do get wiped, well, you get wiped out, not your team gets squad wiped, you can then still live on through your teammates then. So I think BR is always boosted by any sort of teammate inclusion. But like you say, those are solos that have been scaled up as opposed to a game that's been balanced for multiple players and then scaled down. Like you say, it just doesn't balance as well. And I've got an itch in my eyeball. Ugh. But yes, I haven't really played much of PUBG because I hit level 100 on the season pass, and I've used my time then to play some Resident Evil, play a little bit more PES, unlock Deadpool in Fortnite, and I still want to play a good chunk of time on Warzone as well. So yeah, I haven't played too much PUBG. I think I'm going to try keep it at that for the rest of the season until the next season comes out, and then I might step back into it then. But you know, that is what it is. There's a lot of new games out that people could jump into as well, which is a nice teasy tangent into the next news article of the day. Bring this on full screen. So, obviously, if you guys are on Twitch, which quite a lot of you are right now, because I can see you in the chat. Hi. There is one new game to rule them all. And if you have been asleep or under a rock, or just not paying much attention, then you will have missed the fact that Riot's new game, Valorant, has 1.6 million viewers on Twitch right now.
I mean, it's almost as many as people watching Pro Evo for the Invitational.
I know. I mean, the Ice Cream Uploads Invitational, so that's where you need to be. Anyway, Nathan Grayson for Kotaku says Riot's new game Valorant has 1.6 million viewers on Twitch right now, and the article has been updated. I'm not entirely sure where, so I'll jump through and just read. Valorant, a game that's not out yet and that most people can't play, currently has 1.6 million concurrent viewers on Twitch, putting it in within spitting distance of the all-time record. The new game from League of Legends, and only League of Legends until now, developer Riot Games mashes up Counter-Strike style tactical shooting with hero powers that give a whiff of Overwatch. Today, the game enters its much-hyped closed beta, opening the floodgates by just a hair, but still enough that everybody and their entire familial lineage is trying to squeeze through. The current record holders for the most concurrent views on Twitch are Fortnite and League of Legends, both with 1.7 million. Fortnite's historic peak occurred during its Chapter 2 Heralding Black Hole event, in which the Battle Royale Kingpin's entire map was swallowed by a black hole. It was, as far as massively popular multiplayer games go, an unprecedented moment. Developer Epic decided to bulldoze everything it built in a grand, gleefully destructive spectacle. People gathered to watch it because they wanted to know what was coming next. It may have ultimately been a disguise for an update, but it was a clever one. League of Legends, meanwhile, hit its highest height during last year's World Championship, the game's biggest annual esports event. Valorant's Twitch success is a bit more precedented. Last week, the game amassed more than 1 million concurrent viewers on Twitch, with a big gameplay reveal that Riot coordinated with every popular streamer under the sun. Tim the Tatman, XQC, Summit1G, Dr. Lupo, Myth, Pokemon even, the list goes on. These streams were offering drops, aka beta keys, to lucky viewers. Streamers were, as is industry standard, likely paid to promote the game. And this is where the update is. A Riot source tells Kotaku that the company actually did not pay any influencers for coverage. Instead, it opted to invite streamers to an online event and coordinate gameplay and interviews with them based on previously expressed interest in the game. Riot was canny how it allowed streamers to roll out content last week, to keeping certain footage locked until later in the day and having streamers conduct interviews with Riot staff until late in the evening. As a result, Valorant had a vice grip on Twitch all day long. All this during a time when people are stuck at home weathering a relatively light spring for games, looking for something new to entertain them. Today, Riot and all the same streamers are once again handing out keys, only this time the game is actually playable now that the beta has launched. It makes sense then that people are arriving in rabid droves. Effectively though, Riot has gamed the system, making it look like Valorant is the next big Twitch sensation, the game everybody's crowding around their computer screens to watch, when in fact it's the game for which everybody wants beta keys. It remains to be seen if a more rigidly structured game like Valorant can usurp the likes of Fortnite or even Riot's own League of Legends on Twitch, though Counter-Strike's perennial place near the top bodes well for its chances. Right now, for example, Counter-Strike has 218,000 concurrent views on Twitch, though that's in part due to the fact that it's the only major game whose esports scene continues to broadcast from studios during the pandemic. On Steam, meanwhile, the game has spent 2020 repeatedly breaking its own records, most recently parking at an all-time high of 1.2 million concurrent players over the weekend. Okay, we'll continue. There's only a couple of paragraphs left. Valorant has also has powerful industry entities on its side. Riot is one of the biggest companies out there, but popular streamers and the financially unstable esports industry eternally clamour for fresh meat, and those two sides of the gamosphere are doing their best to will Valorant into being the next game to spark off a Fortnite-like boom. It is, after all, a lucrative prospect for all involved. In the months since Valorant was announced under its codename Project A, I've seen multiple people with some variation on Valorant/Project A Pro or Caster in their social media bios. Some of these people still cannot play the game. Valorant is big now, and as a result of all this hyper-calculated hype, many people are legitimately excited about it. It might get bigger in the coming weeks, months, and years, or it might wind up a partially fabricated flash in the pan. So far, Riot has played the streaming ecosystem like a fiddle, reading from a music sheet employed by many big companies before it. Now, though, it's the game's turn to perform. Update! Valorant has now reportedly hit, but not exceeded, 1.7 million concurrent views. Ooh.
Juicy.
Very juicy. Thoughts, babe?
From what I watched Dr. Disrespect for a couple of hours yesterday, he actually started about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, which is unprecedented for him because usually he goes live about 5 or 6 o'clock our time, which I think is 10 o'clock in the morning for him. So he must have been going live at like 7 in the morning, obviously to get on board with everybody else who's been playing this game. If it was just the streamers that was able to stream this game on one day and then everybody else was able to open it up the day before, very much like gaming events where you could go as press the day before and then the rest of the public can come in afterwards, it would be daft for the streamers to... These guys are saying aren't getting paid for it. However, the exposure that these guys are going to get, it's the old tale, like your time should be paid for, not the exposure that you could potentially get off the back of this. But for a streamer, I think it's slightly different in this respect, because if there's 1.7 million people watching, and I'm fairly certain 250,000 of those was watching Summit on Sunday night while he was streaming it, that you are going to be climbing for a key to try and get more people on your product, regardless of whether or not you're getting paid for it. So it makes sense for a streamer's point of view to want to be able to get involved in this as soon as possible, rather than saying, actually, I don't want any part of this because, my time is precious and you've got to pay me whatever it is. But in the streaming world, if there's a game like this coming out and it's going to be one of the biggest games of the year, regardless of whether or not you're into esports or not, this game is going to bang. If you can be the first to put your name out there with the likes of Summit, Tim, Shroud, or Dr. Disrespect, you're going to want your fans to be looking at your stream as soon as possible, as soon as you can get hold of this game.
Yeah, you look at a name that was in the mix with Valorant and was featuring in pretty much every piece of Summit content that I saw, Dizzy. And Dizzy essentially rode that train, but for a different game previously. So obviously we had the huge Fortnite spike. Fortnite led to the growth of a number of long-standing community guys and streamers, and also dragged up a few new names that people were less familiar with. So you've got the likes of Myth and Co now, who are huge. I mean, people may come and go, actually, I think you found that Myth did blah, 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 blah beforehand. But I was unaware of Myth before his huge Fortnite success. Anyway, Fortnite, arguably, in my eyes, projected him into everywhere. Everything I've seen on Twitch, on like there's a Myth poster, there's merchandise poster, and so on. So anyway, he rode that train. You move forward to Apex, and Dizzy, who was in the content with Swagger, Dizzy did that with Apex Legends. He became huge to the point where he was doing really good plays, and all it takes is a couple of moments to go viral in that growth phase. And even the biggest names are looking for something of relevance. So you're all playing games. Oh, great, we're all killing, we're all winning. But you do a jumping somersault, 720 backflip, 360 no scope, and land it, and then you suddenly figure out how you could do that over and over and over again. Then you become the guy that can do the special move, and so much so that you'll get people going, Dr. Disrespect, you should invite Bibby from Ice Cream Uploads, because he can do a 720 double somersault backflip 360 no scope kind of thing. I don't know, you get a 720 and 360 more, but we'll figure it out. Anyway, so the Doc will go, okay, let's, if you want him to play, and then people will go, Doc wants you to play, and you go, yeah, all right then, and then that's it, boom, that's it, you have been made. So that's why everyone is clamouring for the key right now, and it completely makes sense, because all it takes is that one viral moment, that one little bit of luck / magic / skill. I mean, it's all everything thrown into one. You get that, and then that's your career made. Dizzy is now huge. He's working on the launch content alongside the likes of Summit 1G, who did have 215,000 people watching him on Saturday. I was one of those watching it then. So yeah, everyone is clamoring to get their hands on one of those keys, but obviously the launch. So the keys were essentially given away in 2 periods of Twitch drops. One was on Saturday and one was yesterday. Awkwardly, I spent a couple of hours watching one Twitch stream yesterday that said drops enabled, which didn't have drops enabled. Yay!
Dirty.
Also, Dr. Disrespect was one of those, by the way. He said drops. His title was like drops maximized, but he didn't actually have drops enabled on his channel. So anyone that watched the doc yesterday would have had no chance of getting a key. So yeah. Anyway, I spent the later part of the evening watching Summit 1G. In the hopes of getting a key. Didn't get one, so we have no Valorant content for the foreseeable, unless we make friends with buddies at Riot. But for now, we have no Valorant keys on the channel. But not that we would have clamoured to have that same sort of success. Well, firstly, I don't have anywhere near good enough PC skills to play Mario, never mind playing CSGO, and that's essentially what this is. Something that has such an insane time to kill. You stick one eyelash around a corner where someone's looking and it's game over. Poof, well, that's it, you're dead.
Yeah.
Fuck. So it would just be like Spawn Death Simulator for me. So yes, we aren't clamouring for that, but it's understandable to see why people are, which then flips it back round again as to why is the game successful? Is the game successful because the game is really good? Or is the game successful because people think the game is going to be successful, so want to get the game because they think it's going to be successful? So is it success that is earned, or is it success that is assumed and won't actually live up to the hype once everyone has hindsight?
Well, it depends how well the people play it, if you get what I mean. So if you're watching someone like Summit or Shroud that are absolutely ripping up, like I know what Summit what Shroud put out was an April Fool's joke, but I text you saying, whoa, do you actually reckon he might do it? Because it was like way after 12 o'clock on his side of things to be able to put it out. And you must have thought, well, it's before 12 o'clock somewhere in the world and someone's going to read it. But do you reckon then with someone like Summit or Shroud, who are ex-CSGO pros, will want to be able to get back into a pro scene with this game? Do you reckon it's definitely up their street because it's CSGO with Overwatch abilities? That's pretty much the long and short of it. So do you reckon it's something that they want to get involved in from a professional standpoint again, or do you reckon they will just be, licking their lips at the prospect of all these people watching their channels? Yeah,
I reckon it's possible. Even to the point where someone asked Summit, would you look at Valorant esports, and this was on Saturday, and he says, I don't know. It's not here. We're not in a situation where that is yet. The game's not even out yet. Most people can't even play it yet. But yeah, I think I'd definitely be up for that. I think it could be quite exciting, and it's the fact that he started off saying doing the I don't know, the future could be anything, but then his conversation kind of went down the line of, do you know what, actually I think I could be. I think I sunk a lot of time into CS 1.6 and so on, and then he started backing up the reasons of why he'd want to do it. So I think for them, if Valorant keeps going on this trajectory that it has at the moment, already hitting 1.7 million concurrent views, and it's not out, it's in closed beta, it's not even like early access or open beta like Fortnite's and PUBG's and things where it's nobody can have it. If it carries on that trajectory and people can actually play it, then yeah, I think there's definitely scope for, because that is almost unprecedented, that level of growth. There's definitely scope for them jumping back in there, even if it's just for a short period of time, because as a content creator, that would be the peak of new content. One thing that was mentioned within the article was the mini boom that Fortnite had, in terms, well, that Fortnite created. Fortnite suddenly turned everyone's eyes to video gaming for a short period of time. Look at Harry Kane. Footballers are doing dances from a video game. That's and that it started off as being like a little bit of novelty. Oh, this video game is cute enough for footballers to pay attention to it. And then before long, it was, oh look, video games are paying attention to footballers doing their thing. It flipped because it became so big so quickly, and that as a result led to Fortnite being able to do their esports and the Fortnite World Cup, and because of that led to a huge boom of interest and sponsorship opportunities and advertisers and the growth of esports and a mini spike. So yeah, I genuinely hope that Valorant does excel once the game has been fully released, and yeah, the fact that it's kind of merging two previously successful games, I think it probably has the setup to do that as well.
Imagine the levels of the likes of Nadeshot, Shroud, and Summit all walking into the pro scene. Imagine how big the waves would be from them three if they decided to take up. Because obviously you got Nadeshot, who was a former COD pro, CS:GO and CS:GO and fuck me, Shroud and Summit were both CS:GO pros as well. Imagine the waves that them three, the whole world would go into meltdown. Like teams would be clamoring to get them through. But I mean, Liquid would be straight in for Summit, and Shroud would be probably going back to Cloud9 again with the affiliation and affection that he has for them. So,
did you see C9 interacting with his tweets as well?
Yeah, say, do you need a team?
Yeah.
But the amount of money that they would make personally and Riot would make by having those as not even team captains, but just having them as the face, as the poster boys for the Valorant esports scene, it'll be mental.
I think
it's what we need. It's what we need in this industry.
That's where you kind of need almost like the Legends sort of series in football games, where you get like a 30-odd-year-old Stevie G or whatever playing with like Ian Rush up front or whatever. The Liverpool Legends kind of thing. We need that, but I mean, Legends obviously is a bit more watered down, but that's because esports has more of a celebrity crossover as well. So if you stick Shroud and Nade and whoever in teams, yeah, they're still gonna pop, no doubt. But for how long? And is that gonna stack up over the course of a season when you've got like a 19-year-old kid who's just absolutely smashing this game all day, every day, playing it? So eventually, it'll kind of be like, oh, do you know what? Never meet your heroes kind of thing. Never watch your heroes play a game when they're past it and they've already retired. However, there have been, and bringing PUBG back into things, there have been those sort of series where I believe Choco Taco had a team that had Shroud and some others on it in some sort of PUBG broadcast event, maybe at a PAX or some American event. So I think if Valorant gets its full esports scene going, but then adds hype to it by having like a content creator series or whatever, like the V series, the Valorant V series, or something that has like Team Shroud versus Team Nade versus Team Summit versus Team Doc versus Team whatever. Even get and throw them into esports. Get the teams that are in it. So C9 gets Shroud to captain their Legends team. Luminosity suddenly brings Ninja out of the woods and back into a competitive esports sort of scene. I think that would be kind of That'd be kind of cool. But I mean,
sick.
the game's not even fully released yet, so shut up. Do you know what? I would like to try it, but I can't see me enjoying it. I think the skill gap on it is so high that I think I'm such a long way up that road that I can't see myself enjoying it like that. That said, someone like you who has played some CS:GO, I mean, you play anything anyway, but someone who has played CS:GO and done a decent enough job in it, I think someone like you might actually get quite a bit out of that, because you play Overwatch as well. So
yeah, I'd absolutely love to be able to try it. I mean, when it comes out, so everyone can play it. Dead right, I'll be jumping on. I probably won't do much. I'll probably die a hell of a lot, but I just want it to be fun. I'm never going to be an esports star in any game. So I mean, there could be some really shit games like Apocalypse that we mentioned, or the Aladdin game for Mega Drive. I don't know, some really shit ones. But yeah, I'd love to be able to at least try it out, just from a fun perspective. Because there is games like me and Alpi play. We both have the same taste in games. We play a lot of shit games. We play a lot of multiplayer games. So us two being able to go into this, we've got an understanding of how CS:GO plays. We watch the invitationals, we watch the global series and stuff like that. Like CS:GO is now still streaming. Like I'm watching, I can see it on the left hand side here. Counter Strike Global Offensive, ESL, CS:GO. So they're constantly streaming, and they're constantly having matches and esports events. So Valorant. So there's only one way up for Valorant, and that's up. They ain't gonna fail at the first hurdle. Fair enough, it may not be relevant in 2 years' time, but I think they're gonna have one massive boom in the first year. It's just how they capitalize on the top of that. It could go tits up, but ultimately they hold their own cards. It's just got to be the audience has to be invested in it as much as the players are. There's a reason why CS:GO is still dominating when it comes to esports, and that even that game is stupidly old, and the people who have been playing it in the very first esports tournament are probably aged out, and there's been 17 or 18 different roster changes in many teams, but it's still one of the biggest esports games in the world, and there's a reason for that.
I reckon. I can't. I mean, I was obviously posing the question of, do I think it? Is it actually good, or is it just in demand? Like you get celebrities that are famous for being famous. It's like you get some that are famous because they're the best footballer in the world. They've done something amazing for charity or whatever it is. Paul 277. Do I actually pronounce? How do I pronounce that, Paul? Is it Paul 2707 or is it 2000?
I'm guessing that's his birthday, mate.
Because I've never heard you say it, so I've never known. But anyway, thank you very much for the host. Very, very much appreciated, dude. Have you had a good stream? Have you been playing more Warzone? And have you been kicking ass? We want to know. Everyone joining from Paul's stream as well, thank you very much for dropping over. Feel free to say hello in the chat. It would be good to speak to you all. We're currently talking about Valorant being, do you know what, that ridiculous runaway success. If you check down your left-hand side of the screen, I bet it says it's playing Valorant, it's playing Valorant, it's playing Valorant. Because that's kind of what it says on mine. It has been done for the last 24 hours or so anyway. Jumping back in the chat, actually, Aging Superhero says, Bibby and Graham, just wanted to say thank you for the PES 2020 stress ball from the last invitational giveaway. I just had to grab something from my shed, and there was a package in there. I thought I'd just been held up in the post due to the pandemic. Thank you again. No worries, dude. I'm glad it got there.
No problem.
This now begs a question of, does the postman have access to your shed, and if he does, what's he doing in there? But yeah, no worries. I'm glad it eventually got there. We like to give things away in the channel, so it's good. Venom says, what's up, guys? How you doing, Venom? How's things? You good? Nice to see your own little self emote in the chat as well. GG. My ass being kicked today, not the other way around. Welcome to my life. That's. Although I haven't played too much Warzone. Do you know, I've not even played Warzone since the last time we spoke, and I was like, yeah, we need to. When's Ice Cream upload Discord? What? What?
Let's say we have got a Discord. It's there.
Yeah, we do have one. Scroll down. It's below. But yeah, no, that's me. I think I may be playing some Warzone later on today. I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, I'm not particularly great. I'm not good at all. Jiroon with the how does that emote go, babe? Get ready for it.
Hello.
There we go.
So we've got a dry mouth now. We've been talking for like an hour and a half, and I haven't got any more drink.
Yeah. I have my dock shaker. Although sorry, Paul, this is a G Fuel shaker, not a sneak. We know Bibby's already jumped on the Sneak hype
You
train.
see, it's Paul. I got you. You know what I mean?
Exclamation mark socials. I'm not sure Discord's on those, but you should be able to see, I believe, down below. And we don't have it down below. There we go. Does that even work now? Yeah, it does. Yeah, boom. Yeah, so we've been talking, well, quite a few bits actually. There's a new PS5 controller. We've had a long old chat on that. The PS5's DualSense 5 controller. Then, let's bring up the agenda. Then we're speaking about the Apex Legends update. Oh, one thing I actually didn't have was the Microsoft tweaks the dashboard, so we could jump on that one next. But what we have been talking about right now is Valorant absolutely smashing it. G-fail. No wonder you're suffering on COD. Yeah, well, it's that Bateson link.
Well, Paul, if I've actually run out of Sneak now, so if you've got any more tester sachets that you want to send my way, I'll be very much appreciative. If not, I'm just going to get another. I'm just going to get another tester back. Get another shaker. Get another 5 tasters. I'm good to go.
So what flavors did you get in your Sneak bundle then?
Oh, I can't.
What was the best
I
one?
can't remember. One sec. There was Tropicilla was easily the best one. I absolutely love that. There was like, it's purple something. It tasted like Vimto. That was really good.
Purple Ronnie.
I've still got it here somewhere. I'm frantically
Purple
looking
Storm.
through my emails. Purple Storm, that was it, yeah. I'm frantically looking through my emails now because I got the confirmation through it.
Well,
Sneak.
What does Tropicula taste like? Is that like a pineapple-y kind of thing?
Yeah, so it's just like if you've had any kind of tropical drink. You know what it tasted like, actually? Have you tasted Robinson's version of orange and mango?
No.
Right, okay, it tasted quite a lot like that.
Did you taste my Battle Juice when I brought that in to the
No.
office? Oh, Battle Juice is it's basically like an orange and pineapple sort of drink.
Oh, the G Fuel one?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I did. I thought you meant that bottle that you had, that Robinson's Old Man one. That's on your desk. I thought it was that one.
That basically is the same thing, to be fair. It tastes like fruit salad sweets. It tastes like fruit salad sweets. Oh,
Yeah, so I had blue raspberry, strawberry watermelon, which when I tasted the strawberry watermelon one for the first time, I was very like, not sure. And then about a minute later, I was like, actually, it's quite nice. But I probably won't get that again. Cherry Bomb was the tits. I love anything cherry.
Yeah,
Tropicilla and Purple Storm.
Well, Purple Storm sounds like it'd be one that I'd probably let go, and I'd rather just get some Vimto instead. Agent Super. Just the fact that Graham said, "Did you taste my Battle Juice?"
Hello.
All right, laugh. Yeah, so I had strawberry kiwi, I think it was, the other day. There was something called a sour blue chug-rug, which was these are all G-fail, by the way, not Sneak. Sour blue chug-rug, which was just like that wasn't very nice. But there's one called sour cherry, which I'm looking forward to trying. Like same thing.
Anything cherry.
Also, Adam28 LFC, hi. Thank you very much. I completely missed that message in the storm of comments, but hi. How you doing? Anyway, we were talking about Valorant being a runaway success on Twitch. So for those of you that don't know, this is The Scoop. My name's Graham, this is Bib. We do many things. We stream games. Bibby streamed Resident Evil over the weekend. I streamed some PES last night. And we did some co-op stuff. Oh, yeah, whatever. We stream quite a bit, but at 2 p.m, at the moment anyway, at 2 p.m, every day we do The Scoop, which is our daily talk show about the games industry. Everything that's kind of happening, what you can expect, new things that are up and coming. So if you do want to be up to date with what's happening in the games industry, when the PS5 is going to release, we don't know that yet, but when it gets announced, we will tell you. So if you want all that news, make sure you hit the follow button right now. Anyway, we've just been talking about Valorant having 1.6 million concurrent viewers on Twitch, and then they've usurped that with 1.7, so they're almost at the all-time peak for concurrent viewers on Twitch, a record that's currently held by Fortnite and League of Legends. So yeah, do you know, in the next couple of days, Valorant could surpass that as well. Anyway, we do have one more bit of news left in the show, which We probably should have picked off easier. I mean, jumping onto Valorant before this, probably not the smartest idea, because this is no way going to be as immense as that. But let's go with it anyway, as this article, written by Tom Warren for The Verge, says Microsoft tweaks Xbox dashboard UI again as the Series X launch nears. A more simplified and customizable Xbox interface is on the way, apparently. So Microsoft is making further... scrolled off the screen. There we go. Microsoft is making further tweaks to its... I was like reading it.
What's reflaming it?
Woo! Anyway, Microsoft is... It's because I was scrolling and I hit my scroll wheel as I was lifting my finger up, so it just kind of shut off the screen. But anyway, Microsoft is making further tweaks to its Xbox One dashboard just months ahead of the Xbox Series X launch. The software maker is now improving the guide part of the Xbox One dashboard, which provides quick access to content, friends, and even settings when you tap the Xbox button on a controller. Any new default order now means you navigate through the tabs in a left to right order and even fully customize how they're ordered. Party, messaging, and invites are all combined into a new Parties and Chats tab, while settings, audio, and power options have been moved to the Profile and System tab, which is displayed as your Xbox gamer pick. App and system notifications are grouped under a bell icon, with other Xbox alerts, and the regular People tab now includes looking for group options. The guide now feels like it has a more structured and simplified interface than before. Simplification is something Microsoft has been working towards this year as it approaches the Xbox Series X launch. While the software giant hasn't confirmed exactly what the software will look like on the Xbox Series X, Microsoft did tease that the guide and dashboard look identical to the Xbox One during recent reveal videos. Microsoft recently tweaked its Xbox One dashboard with a new home screen that better organizes content and offers more customization options. The Xbox One dashboard has undergone numerous changes in recent years, including a fluent design update back in 2017, a big redesign in 2015, and tweaks that focused on speed. It's clear that Microsoft is making small and much needed changes to the dashboard in preparation for the Xbox Series X launch later this year. The dashboard has often been criticized as confusing and messy, making it difficult for new Xbox One owners to navigate the console. Microsoft's recent improvements go a long way to improving that situation. Nice. Ooh, my camera went well out of focus then, but yeah, thoughts, babe?
Do you know what? This is perfect for me as a person who. Oh shit! The whole tab's just crashed. I've just lost all the. But yeah, it's perfect for me because the biggest gripe that I've had since actually playing on my playing on my Xbox recently is the navigation. It's not catered towards me because obviously I'm not an Xbox player, so I haven't grown and adapted over it with it over the last 7 or 8 years. But as it stands now, it's just far too confusing for me. I can't get my head around like where's the download dashboard, where do I go and see my friends and stuff like that. It's not as simple as it is for the PlayStation, and that's, as a PlayStation player, that's the long that is just the top and bottom of it. I honestly don't know where the hell I'm going. So if they make it a little bit simpler for idiots like me who haven't really ever played on an Xbox One before, that makes it all right for me. But I imagine it's probably going to piss off some Xbox users because they're now trying to perhaps take any stragglers who are sitting on the fence when the new console generation comes out, or people who are picking up these consoles for the first time because they have nothing else better to do during isolation. So yeah, it's interesting to see how it looks and how it navigates from a complete noob like myself. No better time than now for me to be able to start getting used to the dashboard.
Just looking. There we go. I'll come back to that in a minute. Yeah, I agree. Obviously, I play a lot more on the PlayStation than I do on the Xbox. And when I do go to the Xbox, I remember when I first went to the Xbox when PUBG launched on the console, and it wasn't out on the PS3, and I was playing it on the 360. I remember just trying to do simple things like changing backgrounds and things like that you can do really, really easily. Xbox users will probably know how to do that and think, well, you're just a flayed Graham if you can't figure that out. I mean, that's probably true. But it was ridiculously complex. I mean, I pretty much had to install an app to change the background kind of thing, and I was... so yeah, it was complex, and that reminds me of this. Hopefully bring it up on screen for you now. There we go. So this article written by Tom Phillips for Eurogamer, which is 5 years old. This is Xbox 360 at 10. The brilliance of the 360's dashboard. I think this update, I'll come back to that in a sec. This update kind of reminds me of what happened with the Xbox 360. The Xbox 360 launched with the blades dashboard, and for anyone that played OG Xbox 360, you got used to it, like
Yeah, the blades.
yeah. So anyone that used Xbox 360 blades, you got used to it, but in hindsight, it was horrendous. It was a really bad UI. So I was going. I've not actually read this article, but even like, let me bring it on screen for you. This article there, it starts with the words. The second paragraph starts with the words "swish, swash, swish, swash." The sound of those Xbox 360 blades. And do you know? Is it going to play it here? There you go.
Yeah, because I had a tab for each thing, did it? So it had like friends, social, or marketplace, gamer score, or whatever it was.
And that horrible brushed chrome effects on there. So yeah, I mean, the point for showing that, I mean, a lot of people won't even be aware that is what the Xbox user interface used to look like. That horrendous menu sort of system. They started with that. They realised over time, okay, that looked nice and it does everything, but it could look nicer and work better. So they obviously evolved. Pause that as well. They obviously evolved, and over time we got to like this.
That was a beast of a dashboard. I love that one.
So yeah, I'm not going to keep. That is the end of it. So yeah, they evolved with it. I don't know what the name of that one. Do you know? I'm not going to read through the article, but yes. Anyway, long story short, the Xbox user interface was it worked, but was just a bit naff. And then they updated it over time, and they're doing that now. But the difference with doing it now is the Xbox Series X is going to be a big update. It's going to be new hardware. It's going to give us all the teraflops and the ray tracing and all of the other things that people keep talking to you about that you don't really understand. But it's all coming. It's all coming, and that will improve the way that you play. But it doesn't necessarily have to rip up the rulebook in terms of what you're playing on. So they're quite smart in that now. Rather than starting with a Blades sort of setup that does the job but isn't great, what they're doing now is giving you their update on this generation, so you can start from the off of the next generation. So you don't always look back and think, oh yeah, that was that horrible Blades dashboard. That's what came with the One X. All you're knowing is that you're working with that really smooth and simplified version of the previous generation. So I think it's a pretty smart move from them to get that out of the way.
Yeah, agreed.
Legacy UI, which is Windows 8 Metro, will always be there with Xbox, unfortunately. So performance is terrible. Hopefully Xbox focus on remaking the whole UI for gaming, not for multimedia, etc. TV.
Yeah.
So Orbis UI is a lot better. Best dashboard style ever. The original Xbox 360. As in, what, you think the Blades was the best one? Because nah.
Yeah. Out of curiosity, I'm sure this is probably right, actually. But your PlayStation, does your menu take forever to get into now?
In what way?
I think it may just be because my PlayStation is I'm still using the base PlayStation that I got with the actual I'm still using the day one PlayStation that I got way back when. So mine's like if I was to go into a menu, it takes forever to get there.
Do you know what?
It's just really, really slow. But I think it's because the hard drive that I've got is still the original one. So I reckon it's just timing itself out now. You know, it's just getting old, so it's taking forever to do anything.
I mean, I can show you. I have my PlayStation plugged in. I can tell you how long it takes. We could do an on-screen test. Probably not best for the scoop, but yeah. It takes a little while in terms of to boot up, because I don't leave mine in rest mode usually. I mean, it is in rest mode now, actually, to be fair. But I usually turn it off completely so that when it starts up, it starts straight into a full boot, and then I choose my profile and goes in then. So that can take a minute-ish. Probably not that long, but
yeah.
it can take a while when you sat there waiting for it. It's not noticeably bad that I've ever thought of it before, though, so maybe not.
Yeah, mine just seems to take forever now. Like if I'm in a game, for instance, and I wanted to dip back to the home, like the home screen menu or whatever's title menu, to go and like invite you to a party or whatever it may be, it takes forever for me to be able to get there. Like it's just so slow getting through in the navigation and everything.
Sometimes, yes. So I can go through. I can put the home that if I hit the middle button, it loads up really quickly. then I can go to a party and certain screens. So if I'm joining a party, the whole screen just goes blue as if it's waiting for the text and stuff to pop up. But yeah, it's not as rapid as I want it to be. Wavy Dennis says Bates and Raid. Oh, it better not be. Get him out of here. Get him out of here. Get him out of here. I don't believe you. I don't believe you. I don't believe it. What was I saying? Yeah. So, going into the party, it can slow. It can go slow. Most of it still works pretty fine, but there's a certain few screens like when I'm waiting to jump into the party, and usually when you've joined the party, it'll show you who's in the party, and then you can see the microphone like flashing as if you're chatting to them. It can hang on that for like 10-15 seconds, which obviously isn't a long time, but when you sat there just going, hello? Hello?
I agree. Yeah, I agree.
Hello? And it's like, fuck it, you can't hear me. And as soon as you say that, it goes, yeah, we can. It's like, oh, fuck. Hello? So yeah, I mean, it's all right. We'll all have PS5 soon, and then it'll be it won't be an issue.
I agree.
Yeah. But I think we're kind of at a natural end. For the show. Just give me 1 second. Was that one? That's what I was doing. Yes. Anyway, Wavy Dennis. Hi. Where is this raid? Tell Bateson that you better drop the people on it. I'm not joking. Don't tell him anything. It's a good one. It's not a bad one. It's not a bad one. When we get in more merch, we need more merch. Says Pirate. Oh well, it's funny you say that because we have an exclusive, and the exclusive is nothing has changed, but we do have exclamation mark merch in the chat if you want it. There you go.
Beta.
There's absolutely no way we're getting any merch with everything that's going on in production city right now. Getting things, I mean, we could get things designed, no problem, but getting things produced and shipped and stuff could potentially merchy beta.
This is the time where we definitely should have thought of getting ICU sweatpants and stuff like that well in the past.
Yeah, I agree. I'm currently wearing shorts, so we need some ICU shorts. I mean, I've got my Twitch shorts on the chair next to me. I mean, I could put these bad boys on. Oh, out of focus. But yeah, we need ICU sweat shorts as well. Yeah. ICU tracksuit.
Yeah, man.
Let's absolutely not tell Adidas and rip off their 3 stripes as well, because 3 stripes is the one. That's it. Get a 3-stripe tracksuit, some shell-toe Adidas trainers as well, and a bucket hat, and then Bibby can embrace his full inner City fan. All right, mate. get a shell suit, not a tracksuit with a cagoule over the top.
Oh my god, yes, please. Just anything cagoule, I'll be more than happy with that.
Oh, it's twisting my melody. On that one.
Right, let's wrap this bitch up.
I think that is the end of the show. I want to see Bibby in a bucket hat. You can do if you want, but my name's not Hat. Banter. And on that horrible dad jokes, we are going to end the show. But thank you everyone for dropping in. Thank you for all of the follows through the stream. And Paul, thank you very much for the host. Ray, should I say, very much appreciated. Cheers, dude. Everyone that is new here, feel free to hit the follow button. It helps us a lot in terms of growth of the channel. More viewers is more eyes on the content. More eyes on the content just means everything's better going forward. So if you want to hit that follow button, feel free to do so. We will be live tomorrow at 2. And then the same again into the weekend, Friday, and then back on again on Monday. So feel free to hit the follow button. You get notified each and every time that we go live. If you're watching this on YouTube, because we are turning this into a YouTube video, that was a car outside. Hi. If you are watching this on YouTube, then hi. Feel free to hit the like button down below. Obviously, feel free to leave a comment. What do you guys think of the PS5 controllers? Let us know, and we can potentially bring those comments up in some of our next shows. If not, we can just have a chat in the comments. It's fine. Just down there. Yeah, nice. Okay, anything you want to add before we disappear, though, babe?
Yes, I do. If you've seen anything knocking around video game wise in the social media hemisphere, then do feel free to tag in at We've Got With Beanio, at Grave_Day, and at Ice Cream Uploads. We'll take your thoughts and impressions, add our thoughts and impressions in the very next show, which is when tomorrow, Graham?
2 p.m.
There we go.
2 p.m. tomorrow. We will be back with more Scoopalicious content before then. Maybe some impromptu games and stuff between. Maybe not. The only way you know for certain is to hit follow on the socials, which the lovely man Number One Pirate has just listed for you in the chat. Exclamation mark socials if you ever want to do that in future. That's the one. But have yourselves a wonderfully lovely day. And also, if you are subscribed to the channel, I mean, you can subscribe if you have Twitch Prime and you've got one spare. Feel free to check. You can drop it in now. If you do subscribe, you get access to our emotes, and we end the show with a phrase each and every single day. And as you can see, thanks to Mr. Bibb, we have 4 emotes down there that all say, "Stay frosty." But before we disappear, we're going to drop a raid on someone else, so make sure you stick around for that. Remember, stay frosty.